All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We are jumping right into what is basically a masterclass on management and organizational behavior. So get ready, because we're going to unpack the absolute essentials of what makes organizations tick, thrive, and, occasionally fail spectacularly.
So, what actually separates total chaos from a sleek, high-performing organization? It's kind of the ultimate puzzle of human collaboration, isn't it? The source text makes this fascinating, almost stark point right out of the gate. Without efficient and effective management, human endeavors just inevitably decay. They get chaotic. They stagnate. Management isn't just pushing paperwork, it's literally the vital force that prevents organizational collapse and drives growth. The stakes, quite frankly, couldn't be higher for any enterprise.
We are taking a zoom-out approach today. We'll start with the foundations, dive into leadership and motivation, look at high-performance teams, tackle conflict and communication, zoom out to culture and strategy, and wrap up with the future global manager.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Foundations, the manager's universe.
So here's the classic definition, broken down into 4 core functions: planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. You can really think of this as the vital engine of any successful endeavor. Planning and organizing? Well, that's about creating your roadmap and gathering your resources. Leading is about getting your people to actually, drive the car. And controlling? That's checking the GPS to make sure you are actually heading toward your objectives. You need all 4 of these cylinders firing to achieve anything close to optimal efficiency. Now, what's really fascinating here is the framing. We usually think of management as this super bureaucratic task, right? Spreadsheets, schedules, budgets. But the text elevates it to something way more profound. It's fundamentally a process of social influence. It's about human behavior. It's the art and science of inducing others to do what they might not otherwise do, all directed toward a shared goal. It is deeply, deeply psychological.
Moving right along to Section 2, Leadership and Motivation, Understanding the Self. Here we're contrasting 2 major styles. Transactional leadership is essentially a give and take. You do the work, you get the reward, you break the rules, you get punished. Simple. And honestly, it's highly effective in strict bureaucratic structures where the chain of command is rigid. But to truly elevate an organization, a good leader has to eventually evolve into a transformational leader. These are the folks who provide emotional support. They inspire, and crucially, they can translate a grand vision into reality. They don't just manage tasks, they actually change the people doing those tasks.
And if you want to know how to actually motivate those people, Herzberg's 2-factor theory provides a brilliant framework. He divides the workplace into hygiene factors and motivators. Hygiene factors are things like job security, salary, and the physical environment. But here's the catch. Fixing these things doesn't actually motivate anyone. It just stops them from being dissatisfied. To really drive performance, you need the motivators: achievement, recognition, the intrinsic nature of the work itself. Removing a negative is absolutely not the same thing as adding a positive.
Well, let's see how this builds into team dynamics. Section 3, High-Performance Teams, Building Collectives. Let's map out how a team actually evolves. It's almost like a mini narrative. First up, forming. Strangers are just figuring out roles and trying to see who the leader is. Then comes storming, which is definitely the most difficult stage. This is where goals are defined and personalities inevitably clash. But if they survive that, they reach norming, becoming a secure, cohesive group. Finally, they hit performing, where synergy actually happens and they can tackle complex problems together. You almost never get to skip a step here. Every high-performing team has to survive the storm. To really anchor this abstract idea, the source text points to the Aloha Airlines flight disaster. An airplane literally tore open over the Pacific Ocean in the middle of the night. This is the absolute ultimate test of a team. Because the flight crew, the mechanics, and ground control had evolved into a fully performing and normed team, they were able to execute extraordinary teamwork under literal life-or-death pressure, safely landing a severely damaged aircraft. That right there is the real-world power of mastering team dynamics.
All right, Section 4. Conflict and communication, interpersonal friction. Phantom conflict. I just love this metaphor from the text. Modern organizations often have these shields in place, like rigid protocols or just a general culture of silence, that prevent open arguments. But here's the thing. When conflicts remain unaddressed, they don't just vanish. No way. They become these phantom conflicts that haunt the workplace atmosphere, showing up as frustration, a total lack of trust, and dangerously low morale. You can't see the fight, but oh man, you can definitely feel the damage.
So to resolve that conflict, you have to communicate. But there are 5 massive barriers standing in your way.
You've got personal barriers, like perceptual differences, since no two people see the same event exactly the same way. Psychological barriers, like anger or apathy. But pay special attention to cultural barriers. The text notes how differences between low-context cultures, where you just ask for clarification directly, and high-context cultures, where meaning is completely hidden in social norms, can absolutely derail a message in a global team.
And the cost of getting this wrong? It can be catastrophic. Take the tragic NASA Challenger disaster. The investigation revealed that a culture of poor communication, an inability to process critical data about the solid rocket boosters, and intense pressure to launch led directly to catastrophe. It just proves that in complex organizations, communication isn't just some soft skill, right? It is a critical operational safety mechanism.
Zooming out now, Section 5, Culture and Strategy.
Okay, Shine's model of culture. This basically treats an organization like a giant iceberg. Right at the top, visible above the water, you have the behaviors and norms, the way things are actually done. Just below the surface are the stated values, but the massive, completely hidden foundation at the bottom, those are the basic assumptions regarding reality and human nature. These are so deeply ingrained, people don't even realize they have them. If you want to change an organization's culture, changing a few rules at the top won't work. You have to dig deep and address those invisible assumptions.
And when you do attempt to change things, you absolutely need a strategy. The text provides a great toolkit, highlighting communication and concern. You must communicate the why, what, and how with total clarity. But concern is where transformations actually live or die. You have to actively solicit stakeholder input. The text specifically points out that you must target skeptical middle managers. Why? Because they're the key implementers of the change, but they're also the most likely casualties if it all goes sideways. If you don't get their buy-in, your change initiative is basically dead on arrival.
And finally, Section 6, the future global manager, the cybernetic landscape.
We're currently right in the middle of a massive shift from traditional management to what the text calls cybernetic management. Traditional management operated within very strict constraints of time and physical space. Think the classic factory floor. But technology, like e-learning, instant global networks, AI, has fundamentally transformed how we work. In this cybernetic landscape, work happens wherever people happen to be. Time constraints are pretty much eliminated. This boundaryless reality requires entirely new managerial behaviors, new ways to organize work, and a profound understanding of cross-cultural nuances. So we're going to leave you with this final provocative thought. Management is no longer just about optimizing a factory line. It's about leading incredibly complex, boundaryless, culturally diverse networks of human potential. You've seen the foundations, the psychology of motivation, the dynamics of teams, and the models for deep cultural change. The tools are all on the table. The real question is, as the world becomes increasingly cybernetic, are you prepared to evolve from a traditional manager into a truly transformational global leader? Keep learning, keep adapting, and we'll catch you in the next explainer.